It's that time of year. The seasons are changing and the natural energy around us is shifting. But are you in harmony with that energy shift, or are you working against the natural cycle? Let's find out. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Neil and I'm the Health Explorer. And if you're like me, you maybe realise that your health is quite unique to you. You might also be curious to try out some new ideas and maybe improve how you feel. If that's you, then why not subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of all of our latest uploads. My guest this week is TV, radio presenter and best-selling author Dawn Breslin, and the topic we're going to be exploring is harnessing the energy of autumn. So Dawn, a few months ago we talked about harnessing summer energy. As we move into autumn, tell us how the energy changes and the main themes that we should be looking out for.
Okay, so the energy is changing outside. The seasons are changing, and today we're doing the pre-record. It's the 1st of September, and if you just spend a little bit of time outside, or even in your home, if you're in Scotland, you definitely feel it in your home. You can actually feel the shift of. It's actually a really deep shift. It's not just a change in weather. It's not just a change in temperature. It's a fundamental energetic change. And these shifts come through the seasons. So we have these, as human beings, we're living on this planet, we're experiencing energetic shifts that impact our energy. They impact our mood, they impact our productivity, they impact our psyche, our creativity. So we have these cycles, whether it be moon cycles, seasonal cycles, menstrual cycles, all these natural cycles that are holding us and impacting us. And, hundreds of years ago, we would have lived in alignment with these rhythms and worked with them. But these days we're living so out of sync with the rhythms, and therefore many people are feeling disconnected from themselves, disconnected from a sense of presence, disconnected from balance. And we'll talk as we go through, disconnected, from when we talk about balance, your productivity, your output, if it's constantly on energy out, energetically people are depleting. They're suffering from stress, they're suffering from burnout. There's an imbalance in the system. So harmonizing the system that I've designed, part of the process is about looking at self-care on a fundamental level, where we start to look at these natural rhythms and start to align our own energy, our own behaviors, our own psyche, which is happening naturally anyway, but most of us are so disconnected from what's going on in the outside world or what's happening deeper within ourselves that we don't embrace the fullness of these changes and ultimately the benefits that we can really glean from being connected. And I have to say, I got into this work in 2012. And before that, I was just like cruising through life. I was shuttling through life at 100 miles an hour. And I didn't feel the seasons. I didn't sense the sensuality of life, through every part of my body, my energy, my psyche. I was disconnected from it. I think maybe occasionally I would kind of stand by a bonfire in the cold and think, oh God, this is just, something heavenly about this. Or, go for a drive with my camera at the beginning of spring and see the snowdrops in a forest, in a woodland, and just kind of be blown away. But the way I'm living now is just moment to moment, day to day, ensuring that I spend enough time. I live right by the sea. I live so close to nature with huge windows overlooking the sea. And I have a forest across the road. So I've got the sea here and I've got the forest and the woods. So these two places have become almost like sanctuaries, places to go where there's medicine to connect me much more deeply into myself, into my psyche, into my deeper needs. So at the minute, what's happening is as we move into September, we're moving out of summer energy, which is this kind of wildly active, slightly frenetic, busy summer holidays, kids off on holiday, We're juggling lots and lots of different things. At the minute we're going through a pandemic. We've got all of that with all of the other stuff that's on our minds. And, so there's this buzzy energy. And then what's happening outside is things are starting to tip over into a different kind of vibration, a different frequency. There's something happening outside that's asking us to slow down. So throughout a year, we have monthly cycles that we go through, moon cycles, menstrual cycles, all that sort of stuff. But in a year, we have these 2 seasons where the energy is really high and lifting, and we feel it within ourselves. In spring and summer, we feel much more energetic, outwardly focused. But as we come to autumn and winter, we're moving inside, we're slowing down. And naturally, the body, the mind, the psyche is starting to retreat and let go. If we look at the trees, they start to let go their leaves. Everything starts to fall back. And, in pagan traditions, this was actually the time of the new year. So it was the time where we look back at the year gone by. We harvest the fruits of the year. We reflect on what's been great, what's worked. And we start to let go and contemplate what needs to change for the year ahead. So letting go the frenetic energy of summer, and we start to welcome in rest and reflection, maybe even recuperation of energy, because we've given so much out. And I think, where we are right now, it's a really interesting time, Neil, in this pandemic, because we've kind of been in it since from March to, we're now for 1st of September, this will go out mid-September or end of September. But we've been in it for a number of months now. And I think autumn is asking us to turn inside and to say, what is working and what's not? How can I adapt? How can I shift and move and change for the months that are coming ahead? And I think more than ever right now, this is a question that especially for entrepreneurs, people running their own businesses, how do we change? How do we move forward? How much of the last 5 months, have been spent in limbo? How much of our time's been wasted? How much of our time's been unproductive? How much of what we're doing just isn't working for us? Whether that's on a business level, maybe it's in the way we're living in our homes, maybe it's about, our exercise routines, because, the gyms have been closed, everything's been closed down. So where are you with finding your place in the outdoors for new exercise, or signing up for new classes online, or whatever? So I think there's a real call for that contemplation, that slowing down and that review. And I think we've gone through enough of the shock. I don't know what you feel. We've gone through the shock of the change that it's a really interesting time. And I'm feeling it in my bones. I feel like ready now to reflect and say, how do we adapt and move forward in the next 12 to 18 months?
Love that, Dawn. Yeah, I'm definitely with you in terms of the review and the contemplation. I think the whole period of time throughout this coronavirus, for me, has been a time of reflecting on what's been working and isn't working anymore and doesn't serve me going forward. It's been nice to jettison a few things really along the way, certainly. What would be things that we should avoid during autumn?
Well, I think, if we look at someone's health, physical health, mental health, we look at living a life in balance. If we go to nature and we look at how nature works, it works through cycles of growing, resting, repairing, and then growing again. That's how the trees grow. That's how the plants grow. That's how animals grow. Everything in nature works like that. As human beings, we have a tendency to grow. Full stop at the end. It's just like, grow. Just grow. How can you grow more and more and more and grow more? So when it comes to autumn, there's different things in our lives that go through, we're cyclical beings. Our lives are, and the different things in our lives are going through cycles all the time. And sometimes we don't actually coincide that our projects that some people might be starting a project in the autumn, and it means they really want to get active with that, but they might have been through a period of reflection. But for the majority of us that are in cycles of growth within our business, within ourself, within our development, our health, all that sort of stuff, we to really stay balanced, to ensure that we don't burn out, to ensure that we enjoy the depth, the presence, the wonder of living, we have to recognize these energetic changes within ourselves and trust that they're quite natural. So it's natural that in autumn and winter you might slow down, but it's trusting that your energy is going to come back up again in spring and summer. So for some of us, we just go, 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 and we don't slow down and we don't stop. And then what happens is what happened to me, which is, you burn out and you can't work for 3 or 4 years because you're so depleted. So I think the big no is just going like a train constantly, so anybody who's watching this, it's just saying to yourself, where do I stop? And stopping is not just a few minutes a day. It's not stopping at 7 o'clock at night and then numbing out in front of the telly for a few hours, off to bed, or watching stuff on screens for hours, off to bed. I'm talking about, how do we nourish ourselves? How do we really slow ourselves down? How do we manage, the thing I love about autumn, there is a real sensuality to autumn. There's a kind of sense of the darkness comes in. We can light candles, we can light fires, whether that's in the garden, whether it's in the house, we can bring in the hot chocolates, we can, we switch the heating on. It's a different energy, a different frequency. And at this time, there's just this opportunity for space and maybe even silence, instead of filling the space all the time and being nourished by that. I think a lot of people, when it comes to autumn, or autumn, winter, the big dread comes, it's like, oh, here come the dark nights, oh, disaster. Whereas actually, if you start to harness the energy, you can work with it and really use it, get your journal out, take the time to reflect and to contemplate.
Yeah, great time to reflect on the growth that you've had over the last few months and the things that have happened and the positives that we can take away from those. What other things should we be looking to do during autumn?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things in autumn. I think the big thing is the life review. So it's quite interesting. A lot of us do that in January. It's kind of, I think we got into the kind of Christian calendar and we start doing it in January. But if we look at it energetically, autumn's the perfect time to start saying, okay, how has my year been? Chunk up your year, look at the different aspects of your life, look at your health, look at your relationships, look at your business, really celebrate, really look at celebrating what you have achieved. Someone was in my office yesterday and we have all these hampers and beautiful candles and body products and books and gratitude journals and these gorgeous hampers. And these hampers are going out to both, I train coaches, so they're going out to my coaches. And I also work in the corporate field, so they're going out to corporates. And we've turned the business around from a business where we would take people off on retreats. And we're having to think, how can we give people retreats at home? So we've had to completely turn around the way we're working. And there was kind of a wee moment of, gosh, we've done this. We've managed to do it. And we've not even started promoting in any big way yet. We're running lots of courses. But I think looking at how you have adapted, and there's also space here for people who haven't adapted, and I adapted in the business, but I found lockdown really, really difficult. I'm still finding the disconnection, the way of the world at the moment really, really difficult. And I think give ourselves space for that. You know, give yourself space to really honour what's really going on.
I think it's really key to do that for people, because there is so much that has happened so quickly over the last few months. And it's when you take stock of it all, you realise that everything that happened and the speed with which that happened, and then almost this going back into work is almost reversing that cycle, but with uncertainty that maybe we didn't have 6 months ago. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, we're living with uncertainty every day, and then, you know, whether on every level. And I think we have to give ourselves space. We have to give ourselves reflection time. And it was funny, I was with a girlfriend last night, and she's been away, you know, she's doing a PhD, she's been away doing research for the last 4 weeks, traveling to all these locations in Scotland. She's had her holidays, and she was saying to me last night, oh, I don't know where I'm, and she also runs a business, and she's like, I don't know where I'm at with the business. And I'm like, it's time to take stock.
Yeah.
So it's time to kind of come in, get the big notepads out, get the journals out, and really reflect. I mean, we're still in this process. There's a grief process to what's going on right now. There's a lot of loss, you know, loss of lifestyle, loss of connection, so many different forms of loss, you know. And I just think, you know, to try and scoot through all this and just keep going, there's something quite unhealthy about that, but there can be something so deeply nourishing and nurturing about making the time. You know, and if you're in a family, maybe you're talking together about what it feels like. You know, if you're by yourself, you maybe just want to journal and explore, what have I been going through? What does this feel like for me? And so on one hand, what are my celebrations in the ways that I've adapted? And on the other hand, what have I lost? What am I still feeling like I'm losing? And how can I nurture myself through this? And I think this time as well, you know, it's like the big blanket of darkness that comes in. You light up the candles, you light up the fires, and it's the most wonderful time for nourishing self-care. You know, for really, you know, buying in marshmallows so that when you're having a hot chocolate, you know, it's got cream and marshmallow. You know, we don't go to cafes or pubs or bars in the way that we did. Bring those luxuries into your home, to not too much of them. It's like, how can I bring the celebration in here? How can I nourish and nurture here? You know, big blankets, big fires, hot chocolates, you know, being in the garden over autumn, get your fingers in the soil and really be with the energy of the season, you know, and then you start to connect with it, and it will, you know, the earth that we live on, you know, take away our homes. We belong to that earth. We've created artificial environments where we work, where we live, but we belong to this earth. It has such medicine for us, but we've got to cooperate with it. We've got to be with it, you know.
Dawn, whenever I'm interviewing someone, I always like to ask this question at the end, because obviously it's an opportunity for people, obviously having heard you now, to take away something practical and from what you've said, and actually do something with that. So what would be an experience or challenge that you'd like to leave people with that they can take away and try?
Okay, so I'd go for this, which I think would be quite a lovely thing to do, either by yourself or you could do it as a family. I think as we move into this season of releasing and letting go, what I would suggest you do is you gather your leaves if you have them in your garden. If not, you might have a little chimney. If not, you might be able to get a little bucket somewhere that you can create a little fire of some sort. But before you have your fire, I'd ask you to sit down and contemplate, in the last year, what is it time to let go of now? Now, that could be anything from a business to something that you might be, you know, completely connected to the past before COVID. You know, that was my life. I'm trying to get back there. There's certain things that we've got to accept. we're never going to get them back. Certain things, for us to be healthy, for us to be whole, we have to release them. We've got to let them go. So my question would be, what do you need to release? What do you need to let go? Whether that be an emotional thing, whether it be a physical thing, whether it be holding on to an old ideal. I think at this point in time, we have to become, the way we are going to survive and thrive and become joyous is by being adaptable. So in what ways do I need to let go? And then with that, I would also reflect on, what can I celebrate? In what ways over the last 12 months have I impressed myself? Or what have I changed? How have I grown? What have I done that I never thought I could do? And again, it might be an emotional thing that you just think, God, I got through this year. I got through it. I survived. Or it might be I adapted my business, or it might be something else. But over the last 12 months, what have you done that you can be proud of? I think these two things could be beautiful. There might be some private elements that you want to keep to yourself, but there could be some really lovely things that you could do as a family. And I think as that family, you get around, if you have a chimney in your garden, or you can create a bonfire, or even create a bonfire on a beach, because we can do that in certain places. Have a little fire, and almost you could write things down and release them into the fire as a ritual to let go the old and welcome in the new beginning. And the new beginning is, we're about to move into the winter phase, which I think I'm coming back to talk to you about winter. And in that time, we start to move into planting seeds or incubating ideas for the new. What is it that's new that's going to be coming? So we consolidate in the autumn, where it's like the trees are full of fruit. We're gathering the fruit and saying, thank you for the year gone by. I'm so proud of myself. This is my harvest. This is what happened. But as I take that fruit from the trees begin to release the leaves, and we now need to let things go. So there's the challenge.
Thank you very much, Dawn. We do appreciate your time with us today as well on this topic of harnessing the energy of autumn. And of course, yes, we'll gladly have you back to talk to us about winter energy in a few weeks' time.
Fantastic. Okay, Neil, thank you for having me. Great to see you guys. All right, catch you later. Bye-bye.
So listening to Dawn there just made me start to think about the feeling of celebrating the things that have really gone well. I mean, 2020 has not been the easiest of years, has it? So being able to celebrate the things that actually did go well for us, the things that we've learned, the ways that we've grown, the things that we've been through and come out the other side of, they're all worth noting and celebrating in some way, however that is. And also I like the analogy she used with like leaves falling, this time of year, letting go of what no longer serves us and being able to review those things. Also, will you take the challenge that Dawn left us with at the end of the video? It could be life-changing for you if you decide to actually take on that challenge. I will of course be taking on that challenge. You can see my findings from this challenge in our challenge roundup video, which is a monthly summary covering all the challenges our experts shared. To get that video and all our latest health and wellness uploads, including interviews and reviews, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified whenever we post. And if this channel can help your friends and family, please share it with them too. Also, if you want to get proactive with your health, Total Wellness Club are developing health quests over at questly.life. Join while we're developing the site and get access to health quests that immediately personalise your health. You'll get to identify which of 10 critical health categories need your attention. You'll be able to track your progress, and you'll be able to help us develop the platform. I'll put a link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.